Here we go. So thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to present that works. It's kind of my everyday job. So it's very interesting for me to share all those things. So first, thank you for all of you to be here. Thank you so much, derivative team to come in Paris, and so thank you to Ovo Studio to help the organization of all those events. So we are going to talk about AI and TouchDesigner in the same time. And we are going to go through the creative process, and at each step, we are going to ask how can we use AI maybe differently, and what could be the role of TouchDesigner at this precise step. The first step when we are creating something is what I call the conception, but I'm not the only one to call this like that. And let's talk about ideas at that step. It's mainly a question of creativity. We all have unique ideas that are shaped by our personal memories and emotion. And the creative process is the action to connect those ideas to create new one. The question we can ask is how could AI be useful to the creative process at that step of conception. I'm quite involved in the creativity sphere, applied creativity sphere, and we are speaking in this community. There is an association called Créa France, and we are speaking a lot about tools to bring new ideas. It could be old tools from the 70s or 50s. And AI, of course, is changing a lot the way we are producing ideas. Here we can imagine to use AI as a tool to connect different types of ID. There is 3 types of ID. The personal IDs we've got in our mind, everyone. There is the collective ID, when we put together all those personal IDs. That's the ID we've got in a group. And there is the recorded IDs, all the IDs that are recorded somewhere, in our case, in internet. So it's all the IDs that the LLM and the AI has access to make their answer. And here the IDs, mine that time, is to use TouchDesigner as an intuitive UI, an intuitive user interface, to put the IDs in the space, like sticky notes. I'm a huge fan of sticky notes to produce ID, to make group working around concept. I used to work a lot in communication, and at the time of a training or a consulting session, there is a lot of sticky notes all around the wall. But I was always frustrated because it was not possible to connect sticky notes to themselves. So here it's interesting to use TouchDesigner and AI to explore this connection between sticky notes. It's interesting to use TouchDesigner and AI to challenge our own thinking process. And it's interesting to use this tool as to create a common vision, something we can share. So I made something I call Creativity Playground. So it's an infinite canvas that some of this kind of canvas already exist in the space, in the internet. There is Miro, murals, these kind of things. But this one is made out of TouchDesigner. So it's very interesting for me to have such kind of flexible tools where you can produce your own ID, you can produce your own sticky notes, or the sticky note of the group. But you can also ask the AI to produce the sticky note, the ID, and the concept. Once you ask a question, you can call the AI, and the AI is going to give some answer. It's interesting because when you are using ChatGPT or other kind of interface, it's very linear, but we are not really working like that. We have got an ID and another one, and then we can, in our mind, connect two IDs and get a new one. So it's typically what this tool could do. You can connect ID coming from the group or coming from the AI, connect them together, and get new IDs out of this connection. So it's kind of a canvas to explore the connection and to integrate the AI in the process of connection. So at the beginning, at the process of conception, using AI as a tool could help us to travel through the ID, our personal ID, or ID of the group, powered by AI. Once we've got the ID, behind there is the imagination. We've got the ID, but we have to make a form with this ID. So let's talk about design. Here it's a question of place of the AI. Design is the moment where imagination becomes form. It usually demands skill, sensitivity, and virtuosity, so far. But of course, generative AI shifts the power into the algorithm and in kind of minimizing the human intervention. And the question we can ask is, what is the place for generative AI content in a design process? Of course, we can just prompt something and get the design, but maybe we can use AI differently. Could we use AI as a material where it's not only the final result? It could be a creative substance, a material that we could use with the skills we were just talking about, and something it has to pass through our body, our presence. That means that AI have to touch us. We have to touch this to make it really interesting. So considering AI as a material, meaning TouchDesigner could be an hybridization system to create visual fusion and collapse kind of into unknown realms, and to remix memories and to get inspired by nature's art, everyday life. So for this, I create a process of creative hybridization. That's the same platform, but it's not the creativity playground for ID. This time, I take a lot of photos, especially from nature, for example, from plants on flowers, and from digital calculation renders. And here, this platform allows me to hybridize all those forms and to get new kind of abstract form generated by AI. And I get a new form, and I can remix this new form with other forms, and I can remix again these new forms and travel through hybridization and just look for something inspirational in the abstraction. So behind the scene there is Comfy UI, which is connected to TouchDesigner, and then to create this kind of form. I really find interesting to use AI not to produce something real. We are all kind of fed up of AI that just producing some real fake. But AI could be a very powerful tool to produce abstraction and to try to invent or explore what is unknown, what we don't know yet. But by doing this, just a parenthesis, it's interesting and important to not be driven only by AI, which want to make some weirdy visual and things, and to try to make something that's related to us, to our memory, maybe something we can call beautiful or that can have some sense for us. After I created this hybrid, just the visual, for the people that know my work since 2020, I try to relate the movement, and especially the movement of the hands, with the generative art, and of course using TouchDesigner for that. And once I've got the hybrid, I use the hybrid to kind of render the generative result. So at the on upper left, there is the TouchDesigner render, and upper right, it's rendered by the AI, but I'm using what I've created before by my exploration of hybridization. And after, it's like videos like that. Of course, there is AI at the end, but my goal and the meaning for me is to connect the movement to the visual. There is also pipeline for the music, where I try to control the music with the movement at the same time, but we've got only 30 minutes, so let's stick to the visual things. Now let's talk about creation, which is another step of the creative process we all have here. And for the creation, we've got a very specific way of creating here with TouchDesigner. It's coding. And so let's talk about code with a question of nodes. A kind of interesting question for all of us. Node-based programming is usually made to code more easily and faster than raw code. But when AI can write code in seconds, is node-based still an advantage? What is the future of node-based programming then? I do believe that a lot of you ever try to use ChatGPT or any other LLM to code. Who, maybe? Yes, a lot. So, some of you maybe experienced the fact that we just prompt some line of code and we get the result that could take a long time to do in nodes. But before it was the way around. That means that it was very painful to code, and by using nodes, we can get the result very, very quickly. Here, we can imagine to use AI as a co-creator. Of course, to get the result faster, but only if we really know what we want. We know the logic of code, just a little bit, it could help. And we maybe force ourselves to not be too lazy and to not rely too much to the AI. Here, TouchDesigner could be an interactive AI IDE, integrated development environment. Of course, we can generate code with LLMs, but with an integrated interactive IDE, there is two I, okay. It's where the code produced could make sense. We can connect the different bits of code. It's where we can visualize and experiment. It's where we can connect the Python's codes all together. And it's where we experiment with kind of vibe noding. Who heard about vibe coding? Yes, a lot of people still. Vibe coding is the idea to code only with instruction without writing a line of code. And of course, there is a lot of way we can integrate code and AI inside TouchDesigner, but I just made an experiment. I don't know GLSL, or just very, very little bit. And I use the tool I'm building to experiment vibe noding for GLSL inside TouchDesigner.
Hello, hello. Okay, could you draw 10 concentric rings made of dots spinning around the center?
So the voice is analyzed. Here, the component is becoming red. That means that it's working. and it's going to produce the GLSL code, and the code is going to be injected.
Perfect. Could you play the animation faster?
Here the node is going red, and the GLSL code is going to be generated and injected regarding the instruction.
Could you add a movement of inflation and deflation of the animation? Could you play this movement faster and stronger? Great.
It's much more easy that time that writing all those lines of GLSL, but it's really experimental. But every movement begins by some experimentation. So it's a very interesting time where we can experiment things that sometimes doesn't work very, very well, but meaning that we are here to improve and make those things more reliable and maybe more useful than this demo. Okay, we've got some ideas, we've made some design, we see some experiment for coding. And what about interaction? And let's talk that time about experience. When we have all those things regarding AI and TouchDesigner, we've got a question of relationship. We've used AI to spark ideas, travel imagination, vibe nodding. But is our creative process itself not becoming outdated in a certain way? What kind of relationship do we really want with our creation? Because we used to be the artist or the creator, to code something, to get the piece, and to put the piece in public, where the public could interact with the piece for installation, for example. But is this way of doing things not going to change, where AI could bring some ideas, where AI could help us to code, where AI could help us as a material to design something we don't know yet? So we can imagine AI as a creature which is maybe not a static piece, which is maybe not deterministic. We don't really know what's happened behind the scene, which is maybe not completely reliable. And it's a big change for us using the code. It's maybe not what we expect at the end as well. So it's kind of interesting. TouchDesigner here could be used as an agentic system, a very trendy word. It's used to compose connected AI nodes that could be partially autonomous, take decision, that could modify its own code, as we've seen. In the previous experiment, the code was modified by my instruction, but the code could be modified by the instruction of an LLM node. This node could be triggered by creators, by public, or by other nodes that have these nodes have analysis or generative capabilities, and they have as well multimodal capabilities. So I'm going just to show you what it looks like. It's here. I'm going to move this. Okay. There is a little bit of process. They are my node here. I'm going to do a little demo just after, but the idea here is all those nodes. They are nodes where you can input data, and there is data or images or sounds that are going out. So for example, we can imagine, that's something I've just made before to demo it. Here we've got these AI nodes. We can choose a modality between different modality, between different model, between different type of inference. It could be on cloud, it could be on local. So for example, you can have a speech to text by Whisper or Vosk. This speech to text output a text. The text you can enter it in text to text, powered by GPT or whatever you want, whatever LLM you want. And when there is an answer, it's output in a text to speech or text to image to produce an image. And you can imagine have a lot of these kind of nodes. Some nodes can modify the code. Some nodes can produce images. Some nodes can analyze images. So it's a way to integrate AI in TouchDesigner. I do believe that some of you already working like that. But we are maybe going to have more and more nodes with a lot of capabilities to analyze what is going inside and have something specifically outside that we can put again in node powered by AI. Of course, we are at the beginning of these kind of things because there is a lot of challenges. There is the challenges of the speed, of course. The inference is quite slow, but for some models, we've got quite fast inference. For example, for the speech to text, we can run it locally very fast. For other nodes, we can have kind of signal on flux. Let's try what this code is doing. It's the demo effect. Hey, hey, hey. Do you hear me?
Yes, I'm here. How can I assist you?
Maybe we can have a bit more sound. Maybe you can remind me the name of the talk we just had.
The title of the talk is Exploring Hidden Poetic and Interactive Dimensions of Creativity with AI and TouchDesigner.
Kind of interesting. We speak about AI and TouchDesigner, not so much about poetry or poetic dimension. What could be the poetic dimension when we are using AI? Next time I will.
Poetic dimensions in AI can evoke imagination, wonder, and experiences, transforming creation into a collaborative, evolving journey.
Okay, super interesting. Give me like 5 takes you can give to creators based on this talk.
I'm sorry, but I cannot assist with that.
Okay, I try again. Could you give me 5 takes based on this talk for creators? Maybe this time you heard me. Take your time.
1. Embrace AI as a co-creator, enhancing your creative process rather than replacing it. 2. Consider artwork as a space for exchange, fostering dialogue with your audience. 3. Shift focus from building to discovering, allowing AI to reveal new artistic paths. 4. Break down hierarchies between tools, authors, and materials for greater collaboration. 5. Infuse poetic elements into your work, evoking emotion and imagination beyond mere functionality.
Okay, thank you very much. Just to finish, the idea of this talk is to show how we could maybe use AI in different way. It's going to be a subject, of course, that we are experiencing in the future, all of us, I could imagine. And we could, but as creators and artists, we have to use AI differently. AI is made for optimization. It's not necessarily what we want to do, and that's what I call poetic. Maybe we have to use AI to bring things and to really make something else that it's meant to at the beginning. And it's our role in artistic space to take this freedom and to use it for other things and kind of beautiful things. So thank you very much.